Have you ever felt overwhelmed by things you cannot change and wished for a calmer mind and clearer actions? Stoicism offers tools that are older than modern psychology, yet they work today just as well. In this video, we will explore practical lessons from Marcus Aurelius, one of the most thoughtful Stoic philosophers, and apply them to everyday life. Welcome to Better Self. This channel combines two goals: helping you grow as a person and helping you learn English by listening to clear, calm explanations. Listen as a trusted guide and use these ideas in small, simple ways each day. We will move through 10 focused chapters, each one a single principle you can use to become more resilient and more peaceful. You will hear stories, simple analogies, and practical prompts to try right away. The language is plain, and the lessons are meant to be used, not just admired. If you want to think more clearly, feel less shaken by life, and act with purpose, these Stoic ideas can help. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Accepting what you cannot control. Stoic philosophy begins with a simple, powerful idea. Some things depend on you, and some things do not. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this again and again. He reminded himself that his thoughts and actions are under his control, while many outside events, other people's choices, the weather, the past, are not. To live well, he said, start by telling the truth about what you can control. This is not an excuse to be passive. Instead, it is a way to focus your energy where it will actually make a difference. Imagine you are driving to an important meeting, and you become stuck in traffic because of an accident. You can tell yourself a story that makes you angry and stressed. You can shout at the radio, blame other drivers, or imagine losing your job because you will be late. Or you can accept that the accident is outside your control. Call ahead to say you will be late, take slow, even calm breaths, and use the time to prepare mentally. Acceptance does not mean you are happy about the delay. It means you refuse to spend energy on things you cannot change. Marcus practiced this idea during crises as an emperor. He could not control invasions, bad harvests, or political rivals, but he could control how he thought about these dangers and how he responded. A helpful way to practice this is to make a simple 2-column list. On the left, write the things that depend on you: your attention, your choices, how you treat people, what you practice each day. On the right, list things that do not depend on you: other people's feelings, the weather, traffic, the past, certain outcomes. Keep the list simple. When you feel upset, look at your list and ask, am I trying to control something in the right column? If so, stop and move your focus back to the left column. Marcus Aurelius used short reminders to keep this idea alive. He told himself that life is short and that he had work to do. He reminded himself that being calm in a storm was a kind of strength. A modern person might put a note on a phone that says, "Focus on what you can control." Small reminders like this are not magic, but they do help. They change the way you react in a small way each time. Over time, these small changes add up. Another practice is to breathe and label what you feel. When something goes wrong, pause and say quietly, "This is outside my control. I can control my actions." This simple phrase cuts through the mind's drama and brings you back to action. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself like this, as if he were coaching his own thoughts. You can do the same. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend who is upset. Calm, clear, and kind. A final point is to combine acceptance with effort. Acceptance does not mean you never try to influence outside events. It means you accept that outcomes are uncertain, and you keep your energy on good, steady effort. If you focus on the processes you can control, preparing well, showing up on time, practicing your skills, you will be much less anxious about results that you cannot fully control. Try this today. Notice one small thing that has made you upset in the past day. Ask whether it belongs on the right column, outside your control. If it does, take 3 deep breaths and shift your attention to one action you can take now. This is how Stoicism turns confusion into calm and wasted energy into useful action. Chapter 2. Reframing Challenges. The Power of Perception. Marcus Aurelius taught that our perceptions shape our reality. The events around us are neutral. The stories we tell ourselves make them good or bad. This idea sounds simple, but it is surprisingly powerful. It tells us that by changing our inner commentary, we can change how life feels. That does not mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to see obstacles as opportunities to practice strength, patience, or creativity. Picture two people sitting in the same room when the power goes out. One person immediately complains and feels defeated. The other sees a chance for quiet conversation, candlelight, and a break from screens. The situation did not change, only the interpretation. Marcus wrote that people are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. This gives us a skill. Change the view and you change the experience. Reframing is a practical skill with simple steps. First, notice your immediate interpretation when something happens. Our first thoughts are often automatic. They are quick and sometimes unhelpful. Second, ask a question that opens a new frame. How might this problem help me grow? What is another way to see this event? Third, choose a new perspective and act from it, even if the feeling does not fully match yet. Acting in a new frame trains the mind. A classic story illustrates this well. Marcus served as emperor in a time of war, disease, and political danger. Yet his journals are full of calm, purposeful reflection. He reframed his role as a duty rather than a burden. He saw hardship as the material of greatness. Hardships build patience. Patience builds wisdom. Wisdom builds good action. The same is true for modern challenges. A job loss can be a disaster, or it can be the chance to start a business, learn new skills, or rediscover a passion. The event is the same. The frame makes the difference. Reframing also helps with criticism. When someone criticizes you, your first reaction might be to feel attacked. Instead, ask, is there truth in this criticism that I can use? Is the person pointing out something I can improve? If yes, use it. If not, let it pass. Either way, you control how you respond. Marcus often stopped to examine the motive and truth behind words. He did not take insults personally when he could learn from them, or ignore them when they were empty. Another practical tool is to create a short mental story you can use when things go wrong. Call it your Stoic script. For example, this is not the end of my story. I will do what I can. Now, I will learn and keep going. Repeat it when you need it. Marcus used short, repeated phrases as anchors for his attention. You can do the same using simple sentences in your native language or in English practice. One more example. Imagine your flight is delayed and you will miss a connection. You can panic or you can use the time to read or to plan your week. Maybe you call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. The flight delay becomes a pocket of time rather than a catastrophe. Small shifts like this change how much suffering you feel. Practice this now. Think of one small irritation that you faced recently. Replay it in your mind and try 3 different frames, as a loss, as a chance, and as a lesson. Notice how your feelings change. Reframing is not pretending, it is choosing the most useful interpretation. That choice will make you calmer and more resourceful. Chapter 3. Amor fati. Loving your fate and making obstacles useful. Amor fati is a phrase not from Marcus himself, but perfectly in line with his teaching. It means love your fate. It is one thing to accept what happens. It is another to embrace it as fuel. Marcus often invites himself to turn difficulties into a practice ground for virtue. When life brings a test, the Stoic asks, how can I meet this test so I become stronger? This attitude changes the quality of life. Hardship becomes the raw material of growth instead of the source of complaint. Think of a blacksmith shaping metal. The metal must go through heat to become useful. Without fire, it cannot be formed. The fire is not the enemy, it is the workshop. Marcus wrote about illness, loss, and betrayal in this way. He did not ask for a life without difficulty. He asked for the tools to use difficulty well. When we adopt amor fati, we stop seeing pain as pointless and start looking for the lesson inside it. A well-known modern example is Admiral James Stockdale, a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He survived years of torture and deprivation not by denying suffering, but by finding discipline, meaning, and small goals inside the experience. He focused on being useful each day, supporting others, and holding to a long-term value. This is very Stoic. Meet what comes with courage and use it to form character. Amor fati also helps with setbacks in work or relationships. Imagine a startup fails. Instead of seeing failure as a final verdict, you can study what happened, preserve what worked, and apply those lessons in the next venture. Many entrepreneurs speak of their failures as their greatest teachers. They learned skills, resilience, and clarity that success alone would not have given them. The Stoics would say, that failure found you for a reason. Learn from it, and let it make you better. A practical way to practice this idea is to write a short paragraph about a recent difficulty. Do not stop at complaint. Write, what happened? How did I respond? What did I learn? How can I use this to be better? This short exercise moves you from victim to craftsman. Marcus would have approved. Another method is premeditatio malorum, a practice Marcus used. He would imagine hard things could happen and think through how he would respond. This is not pessimism, it is preparation. By expecting the possibility of trouble, you reduce the shock when it arrives. Try this. Once a week, take 5 minutes to imagine a small, plausible challenge, a project delay, a difficult conversation, and run through how you would handle it calmly. This trains your mind to see obstacles as manageable. But loving your fate does not mean ignoring injustice. There are things that require effort to change. Stoics were active citizens. Marcus was an emperor who tried to govern justly. Amor fati asks you to meet what is unchangeable with acceptance and transform what you can with effort. It is a blend of humility and action. If you want a small daily habit, do this. Each morning, think of one possible difficulty you might meet and imagine responding to it with calm skill. Each evening, review one thing that went wrong and write down one way it made you wiser. Over time, you will notice that your reactions become steadier. Hard days will still be hard, but they will no longer control you. Chapter 4. Duty, Purpose, and the Discipline of Action. Stoicism is not just thinking. It is acting. Marcus Aurelius was a philosopher-emperor who wrote about duty as the core of a good life. For Stoics, purpose is simple and practical. Be useful, do your job, and serve the community. This clarity of duty creates a stable center in a world of noise. When you know your role, you can meet daily demands with calm competence. Think of duty like a compass. A compass does not tell you the weather or make the journey easy. It only points north. But when you keep your attention on that north, your choices become steady, even in stormy conditions. Marcus used duty to guide him through personal loss, political pressure, and military campaigns. He reminded himself that he was here to work, and that his best gift to the world was steady service. This focus on duty applies to small things, not just large roles. Washing dishes, answering emails, listening to a friend. These are all occasions to practice virtue. A small act done well is a dramatic statement about who you are. Imagine treating each small task as a training ground. A teacher shows up prepared even on a tired day. A parent listens despite distraction. A worker does the craft honestly even when no one is watching. These moments build character. A modern example is the story of people who rise to the top in demanding fields by showing up every day. Athletes, musicians, and entrepreneurs often talk about routine and discipline. They train their bodies and minds in small, regular ways. This is Stoic discipline, daily action aligned with a larger purpose. Marcus practiced this by writing short reflections each morning and evening. He reminded himself of the work of being a human and the value of integrity. To put duty into practice, begin with clarity. Write a simple statement of purpose for your day. It can be as short as one sentence. Today, I will be present for my team. Or today, I will finish the chapter and rest well. Keep this sentence visible. The clearer your aim, the less you will drift into distraction. Then break purpose into small steps. If your aim is to be present for your team, one step might be to listen without interrupting in the next meeting. If your aim is to learn a skill, one step could be 20 minutes of focused practice. Marcus believed that greatness accumulates through ordinary acts performed with attention. Another practice is to start with the hardest task first. Stoics preferred to handle the most demanding duty when energy is fresh. If you begin the day by doing what matters, everything else feels easier. This does not mean you must do everything at once, only that you should prioritize actions that align with your deeper values. Finally, remember that duty includes being kind and fair to others. Stoicism is not cold or indifferent. Marcus wrote about the common good and the importance of fellow humans. Being disciplined and dutiful also means showing up to help others. The discipline of action joins personal growth with service to the community. Try this now. Choose one duty for today that matters to you. Write it down and list 3 small actions that will support it. At the end of the day, review what you did and what you learned. This simple loop, intent, action, reflection, is a Stoic practice for steady growth. Chapter 5. Memento mori. Use mortality to live more fully. Remember, you will die. This phrase can sound harsh at first. Marcus Aurelius used this idea not to scare himself, but to sharpen his life. When you remember that life is limited, your choices become clearer. You stop wasting time on petty fights and small fears. You see what matters more simply. Memento mori is a tool for clarity, not despair. Consider the image of a clock. When you are young, the clock feels endless. But when you understand time is limited, every tick becomes more meaningful. Marcus wrote that people waste much of life chasing things that do not matter: status, empty praise, or endless worry. Remembering mortality helps you choose differently. It asks, if today were my last, what would I do with my time? Many people have used this idea to change their lives. Artists, entrepreneurs, and ordinary people who faced a crisis suddenly made bold, wise decisions. A close brush with death can focus attention on relationships, creativity, and truth. A person who survives illness might finally apologize, or take time to travel, or start a project that mattered for years. The thought of death brings forward the life you actually want to live. This practice is simple and can be done in short steps. Each morning, take a minute to remind yourself that the day is limited. The reminder does not have to be dramatic. You can say quietly, this day is precious. Use the awareness to choose what matters: a kind word, a focused hour of work, time with family. Marcus used such reminders to avoid vanity and to keep his actions honest. Memento mori also helps with fear of failure. If your horizon is limited, failure seems less permanent. You see life as a series of trials, not a single performance. You can try, fail, learn, and then try again. Marcus himself faced many failures and losses. That he persisted shows the power of a long-term view paired with the awareness of mortality. Work today as if it were important, but do not be crushed by setbacks. There is also a moral edge to this idea. If you know your life is finite, you might be more inclined to treat others well. Marcus often wrote about how short life is, and how ridiculous it is to harm others for small advantages. The awareness of death makes petty conflicts seem meaningless and invites generosity. Try a short exercise now. Imagine you have 1 year left. What would you do differently this year? List 3 actions you would take that you are not doing now. They can be small: call a friend, start a hobby, finish a book. Use this thought experiment to choose one small action to begin this week. You do not have to make radical changes. Small, steady steps guided by the awareness of time led to a life that feels fuller and truer. Memento mori is not morbid. It is a compass that points you to what matters. When you carry that compass, even small decisions feel meaningful. You live with intention, and the energy that used to go into worry begins to go into action that builds a good life. Chapter 6. The Conversation with Yourself, Mastering Inner Dialogue. Marcus Aurelius often wrote as if he were talking to himself, coaching his own mind with short, kind commands. He knew that the voice inside your head shapes your mood, your choices, and your relationships. If your inner dialogue is harsh and anxious, your days will be noisy and confused. If your inner voice is calm and clear, you find the energy to act with purpose. Learning to guide your inner conversation is one of the most practical Stoic skills. First, listen to your inner voice. Much of it is automatic, shaped by habits, early experiences, and social pressures. Notice the tone. Is it harsh? Is it doubtful? Is it loud and repetitive? Marcus trained himself to notice destructive thoughts and replace them with useful ones. He wrote short, firm lines like, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This balance, gentle observation, firm correction, is at the heart of inner work. One method is to imagine you are advising your best friend. When you hear a critical thought, ask, "Would I say this to someone I care about?" If the answer is no, then speak to yourself differently. This technique creates emotional distance, which reduces the immediate power of negative thoughts. Marcus practiced a similar detachment. He reminded himself that thoughts are not final truths. They are events that can be observed and redirected. Another technique is to create short, steady phrases you can repeat during difficult moments. Marcus used aphorisms like instruments to tune his mind. You can choose phrases that fit your life. "I will act, not complain," or "this will pass." These phrases are not empty. They are anchors that move the mind from rumination to action. Use them in small moments of irritation or fear. A modern counterpart to this practice is cognitive restructuring in therapy. It asks you to notice a thought, test its truth, and replace it with a more helpful idea. For example, if you think, "I always fail," test that idea by listing times you succeeded. Then replace it with a balanced thought, "I have succeeded before, and I will try again." This is not pretending. It is seeing the situation more accurately. Marcus also valued honest self-inquiry. He asked himself, "What can I control? Am I acting fairly? Am I avoiding duty?" Such questions keep you honest. At the same time, do not use self-examination as a way to punish yourself endlessly. Marcus combined strictness with compassion. He wanted to improve, not to be miserable. Practice this today by listening to your thoughts for 5 minutes and writing down any repeating negative statements. Then choose one to challenge. Write a kinder, truer version of that thought and repeat it quietly when the old thought appears. This small habit trains your inner voice to be more useful and less reactive. Finally, learn the art of temporal perspective. Much of inner turmoil comes from imagining the future as permanent. Marcus would remind himself that emotions are temporary and that the present is where action happens. When you catch yourself spiraling into anxiety, say quietly, "This feeling will pass. I can act now." Guiding your inner conversation this way frees you to meet challenges with calm, clear steps. Chapter 7. Emotional Resilience. Feel, but don't be carried away. Stoicism is often mistaken for emotional suppression. That is not accurate. Marcus Aurelius knew emotions are natural. The skill he taught was to notice them without being taken over by them. Emotions call for attention and understanding, not automatic reaction. Learning this skill gives you emotional resilience, the ability to feel pain or anger, and yet choose a wise response. Imagine a wave hitting a shoreline. If you panic with each wave, you will be exhausted. If you learn to adjust your stance and breathe with the tide, you will be steady. Emotions are like waves. They come, peak, and fall. Marcus practiced watching the waves of his mind, noting them without being carried away. He wrote reminders like, observe what happens, and then decide. Observation is the first step. To practice this, start by naming the emotion you feel. This simple act, saying I feel anger or I feel sadness, reduces intensity. The brain calms when it can put words to experience. Marcus used short language as a form of self-command. You can do the same. When you feel strong emotion, pause and name it. Notice where it is in your body. Breathe slowly for 3 deliberate breaths. Then decide your next action based on values, not on the raw feeling. Another helpful tactic is to ask, what is the useful energy in this emotion? Anger often contains energy and a sense of boundary. Use that energy to set a clear, calm boundary, or to act on an injustice. Sadness can signal loss and invite care. Use sadness to reach out or to reflect. Marcus did not tell people to ignore emotions. He asked them to translate the energy of emotion into wise action. A story helps here. A professional athlete loses a crucial match. The first feeling is disappointment. If the athlete ruminates on self-blame, performance will suffer. If the athlete names the feeling, studies what went wrong, and creates a plan to improve, the loss becomes a fuel for growth. Many champions use the pain of loss as a teacher, precisely the Stoic way. Practice this now. Think of a recent time you reacted emotionally. Replay it in your mind, but this time practice naming the feeling, pausing, and choosing an action based on your values. Maybe you respond calmly in a conversation, or you choose to step away and return later. These habits build muscle. They do not remove emotion, they make it useful. Marcus also recommended perspective taking. When someone acts badly toward you, imagine the reasons behind their behavior. Perhaps they are tired, frightened, or confused. This does not excuse harm, but it often reduces immediate anger. When anger drops, wisdom rises. Finally, remember that resilience grows by small, steady practices. Use short pauses, naming emotions, and translating them into aligned actions. Over time, you will feel less ruled by mood swings and more guided by chosen principles. Emotional life will be richer and less chaotic. Chapter 8. Community and Social Duty. Stoicism is not solitude. Stoicism is sometimes pictured as a lone pursuit, but Marcus Aurelius shows another truth. Stoic practice is deeply social. He served as emperor, led armies, and worked on the common good. The Stoics believed humans are social animals. We thrive when we cooperate, help others, and bind ourselves to a larger purpose. Stoicism asks you to bring your strength into the world, not hide it away. Think of a garden. A garden flourishes when many plants grow in harmony, and the gardener cares for the soil. If one plant refuses to contribute, the garden still works as a whole. Humans are similar. When you strengthen your character, the community benefits. Marcus repeatedly reminded himself to act for the common good, to be fair, and to help those around him. For him, personal virtue and civic duty were the same. Consider how this plays out today. Being a good colleague, showing patience to a cashier, or mentoring a younger person are small acts of civic virtue. They are not glamorous, but they matter. When people practice these small duties, communities become more resilient and humane. The Stoic is not only inward-focused, they are outward acting in ordinary kindness. A practical example is volunteering. Many people find deep satisfaction in small acts of service. This satisfaction is not only emotional, it is also moral and social. Marcus modeled public service by keeping a steady sense of duty to his people. He accepted the burdens of leadership because he saw them as part of a shared human project. You can take that idea and scale it down. Contribute where you can, even in small ways. Another important part of social stoicism is honest communication. Marcus valued truth, but he also valued tact. Being honest does not mean being brutal. It means speaking in a way that helps others become better. Practice conversations where you state truth gently and clearly. This is a Stoic skill. Align honesty with kindness. A useful small habit is to ask yourself each night, how did I serve others today? Write one sentence about a small thing you did or could have done better. This practice shifts your attention from self-centered concerns to community impact. Over time, this habit trains you to look for ways to help. Finally, remember that community includes your inner circle and larger society. Stoicism does not demand withdrawing from politics or social life. Marcus himself was deeply involved in governance and military affairs. He tried to act justly in each role. You can take this as an invitation to bring Stoic calm into your relationships, your workplace, and your neighborhood. Use courage to speak truth, use patience to listen, and use compassion to act in ways that benefit others. Chapter 9. Gratitude and simplicity. Choosing less, gaining more. Stoics find contentment in simplicity. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on how few things a person truly needs to be happy. When you simplify, you free yourself from constant craving and distraction. Gratitude and minimal desire are powerful tools. They reduce anxiety and increase appreciation for the present. Think of simplicity like clearing a room of clutter. When the floor is clean, you can move easily and find what matters. When life is cluttered with unnecessary wants, more notifications, more things, more accolades, your attention fragments. Marcus suggested focusing on essentials, kind action, honest work, and inner peace. This focus creates space for gratitude. Gratitude is the practice of noticing what is already good. Marcus reminded himself of small gifts, good friends, enough food, the ability to work. He used these reminders to keep perspective. In modern life, gratitude can be practiced with a short journal. Write 3 simple things you appreciated today. They can be as small as a warm cup of tea or a kind message from a friend. These notes reorient attention to abundance rather than lack. Simplicity also helps with decisions. When you want less, choices become easier. Consider diet, possessions, and time use. Decide what is essential and remove the rest. Marcus lived with the pressures of empire, yet he practiced modesty. He understood that external wealth does not make the inner life better. You can apply this by reducing digital clutter, simplifying your schedule, and saying no to non-essential demands. A clear example is financial simplicity. Many people find that by cutting small, unnecessary expenses, they gain freedom. Freedom then buys time for meaningful work or relationships. Marcus did not preach asceticism for its own sake. He taught focusing on what matters. That can be applied with balance. Enjoy comfortable things that support your life, but do not let desire rule your choices. To practice gratitude and simplicity, choose one area to simplify this week. Remove one recurring distraction and replace it with a mindful habit like a short walk or a conversation. Each small removal increases clarity. Marcus would say that the less you need, the more you have. Gratitude can be practiced in small daily moments. Each night, name one thing you are grateful for and say quietly why it matters. Over time, this habit builds a resilient mind that notices gifts even when life is hard. Simplicity and gratitude together create a stable platform for purposeful action and calm. Stoicism becomes real through daily practices. Marcus Aurelius wrote short meditations every day. He used routine to steady his mind. If you want a Stoic life, choose a small set of daily habits and keep them. Practice beats inspiration. A few steady disciplines produce long-term change. Begin with a simple morning routine. Marcus often opened his day with reflection on what might happen and how he would respond. You can do the same. Spend 5 minutes in the morning thinking of one quality to practice: patience, courage, or kindness. Say a simple sentence. Today, I will listen. This small intention sets the tone for the day. Add a midday check-in. During a break, pause and ask how your day is aligning with your intention. If you notice drift, gently redirect your attention without judgment. This check-in prevents small mistakes from becoming large patterns. It also keeps your choices conscious rather than automatic. End the day with a short review, like Marcus's evening reflections. Write down one success and one area to improve. Keep it brief, but honest. This review is not self-judgment, it is information. Over time, these nightly notes become a map of progress. You will see small wins and patterns you can adjust. Include practical methods like premeditatio malorum, imagining possible difficulties, and negative visualization, where you remind yourself that what you have can be lost. These practices increase gratitude and reduce shock when trouble arrives. Marcus used them to maintain perspective. Use them in small, controlled doses and see how calmness grows. Journaling is a Stoic tool. Marcus's meditations are a record of his inner work. Your journal does not need to be grand. 1 paragraph a day is enough. Write about one challenge and how you can respond with virtue tomorrow. This practice trains attention and clarifies values. Finally, measure progress by habits, not emotions. Stoic living is visible in daily acts, showing up, keeping promises, and practicing kindness. Over months and years, these acts form a life worth living. Do not wait for dramatic insight. Build through steady, small steps. Start a 7-day plan now. Day 1. Pick one quality to practice and set a morning intention. Day 2. Add a midday check-in. Day 3. Do a small act of service. Day 4. Practice naming emotions and pausing. Day 5. Try negative visualization for 5 minutes. Day 6. Simplify one part of your life. Day 7. Write a short weekly review. These simple practices will begin to shape a life that is calmer, clearer, and more resilient. We have walked through 10 practical Stoic ideas inspired by Marcus Aurelius. Accept what you cannot control. Reframe challenges. Love your fate. Act from duty. Remember mortality. Shape your inner conversation. Build emotional resilience. Serve your community. Practice gratitude and simplicity. And use daily routines to grow. Each chapter offered simple tools you can use today. Stoicism is not a set of beliefs to memorize. It is a set of small practices to embody. If you try one small thing this week, perhaps a 5-minute morning reflection or a nightly review, you will begin to notice a shift. The mind becomes clearer, emotions less turbulent, and actions more purposeful. Marcus was a ruler in a chaotic world. His tools helped him stay useful and humane. They can help you, in your life, to be both calmer and stronger. Now, take one step. Pick one practice from this video and do it tomorrow morning. Keep it small and repeat it. Change arrives through gentle, steady work. If you found this helpful, join our Better Self community to learn more simple habits that build a better life and strengthen your English at the same time. Subscribe and come back for another lesson in practical growth and clear language. Keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, small steady actions shape a strong and calm life.